You have to understand a lot of different layers of the debt game. Leveraging debt is one of the most time-tested ways to build wealth with somebody else's money, right? Using other people's money to build your wealth. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Sean Moore, and I'm here with my main man, Dave Savulich, for a episode of Whisky Wednesday. These are short, sweet, to the point episodes, right, Dave? We're gonna talk about kind of a couple things going on in our world, some trending topics, some questions that you guys send in. And so if you have questions, DM us, message us on these platforms, and we'll make sure that we answer your question on an upcoming episode. So let's dive in today, huh?
Well, first of all, back by popular demand, I put this coat back on. We had a few people asking what kind of coat was Dave wearing
on YouTube.
And so this is the Badlands, kind of the light puffer-filled coat. And so if anybody wants that.
Unofficial sponsor of Whiskey Wednesday.
So
Badlands, you might want to reach out and to Dave.
Send a few of these out. We'll make sure we put them on there and give you a little bit of a promotion.
That's true. I was looking at the comments the other day. We were looking for some questions, and the number one question we had was right out of the gate.
What shirt was that Dave had on?
What jacket is Dave wearing?
That's awesome.
There you go.
All right. Well, quick kind of a personal thing is, we got the NFL playoffs going on right now, which, everybody dives in and stuff. If you were to sit down and you were like, I want to watch one sporting event, what would that be? Would it be NFL football? Would it be the World Series? Would it be the Olympics? Would it be March Madness? What?
No question for me. NFL football. All right. NFL playoff football.
So that's you love that.
Yeah, all right. I love it. I love college football as well.
Yeah.
I just think that the college football game is kind of a mess right now.
Yeah.
So I love
going and
NFL playoff.
I love that. For me, it'd be March Madness.
Yeah.
I love college basketball. I love the competition. I love the upsets. I love the last second winning shot. All that. I mean, I love all the other sports too. But that's
always
fun,
a fun one. Yeah, that's a hard. That would be a second for me for sure. But there's something about
the NFL
football.
Yeah.
We're right in the middle of it right now, so it's just like and
that's awesome.
I'm a Bronco fan, so I haven't seen my guys play in the playoffs for a while. So
since Peyton left, that was the glory days for a bit in Elway. So
we're still just kind of waiting.
Yeah. Well, let's dive in. So, a trending topic today. So, let's talk a little bit about partnerships with short-term rentals, and a couple questions to ask or answer are: do you set up a partnership in the state that you live in, or the state of the actual property would be the first. Second of all, we've got some good insights from members and through some experience of what we've done in the past, but I think it's super important to align the goals of partners. What's each partner bringing to the table? And make sure that you guys understand the outcomes. Like, what are we buying it for? Make sure that we're on the same page. And I think it's super successful when you have one person kind of lead the operations and handle it, because it can get a little bit messy. So let's talk a little bit about, setting up an LLC and so forth.
Yeah, good. And on the LLC side, it's different for everybody, right? You really should talk to your asset protection attorney.
Right.
LLCs come down to asset protection, right? And how you're going to operate that LLC, what you want to do, whether you have it in the state that you live in or the state that the property's in. If you're in the state you live in, you're going to have to register as a foreign entity. So you're still navigating the legal tax world in the state that you're in, right? So personally, I have a trust company, a bridge trust that ends up holding my asset protection limited partnership that ends up having all my LLCs under them. And I have this LLC in every state that I own properties, not for every property necessarily. And so, but it filters up through these other entities. Now that's all set up based on my asset protection attorney looking at all of our stuff and saying, here's how we're going to navigate this. And so it's smart to do it before you even have a lot of stuff, because if you kind of know what you're building, how you're building it, what you're really what the portfolio is going to look like in 5, 10, 15 years, whatever that is, talk to somebody, because you might say, well, I don't have all that stuff to protect right now. It's still really good to consult with an asset protection attorney to say, okay, here's how we're going to structure it. And so you layer it on along the way as you're building. But it's different for everybody. And so and that's a question that we get all the time, but there's not a one size fits all for everybody. There just isn't. And so you really want to consult CPAs, attorneys, when you're setting it up for yourself, right? Based on your depending on how you're making all your active income right now, what other assets you own, where the money's coming from, what you plan on building. Maybe you're going to just buy 1 or 2 properties. Maybe you're going to go buy 10 or 15 in the next 10 or 15 years. So depending on what you're doing, it's going to look different.
And I think a lot of times people ask me, we want to set up an LLC. We want to set up a partnership. Do you like that? Do you think that's a good thing? And I always tell people, absolutely can work great. But make sure that the 2 partners are aligned with their goals. Because when you get into a short-term rental property, if one partner says, I need passive income, and the other guy says, well, I want to have a vacation home, those don't necessarily align. So you got to just make sure that you guys understand what the partnership is, what the goals are, and it can be super successful.
Yeah.
So
and always start with that outcome in mind, because you're exactly right. We love partnerships. You and I partner on properties all the time. And so, but we also buy our own properties at times too. And we talk about every time before we buy one, we're looking at buy one right now. And we're saying, hey, listen, the kids are getting older. Are we going to use this more as a lifestyle asset, or is this going to be more of an investment? We have to ask that question on the front end. And we say, it's going to be more of a lifestyle asset. Then you probably don't want to partner on those ones. Honestly, you probably want to say, hey, listen, because now you can use it when you want to use it, whether it performs or doesn't perform, but it's not, you have to be aligned on the outcome. The expectations have to be set on the front end. And I think that that's where a lot of people get into trouble with partnerships, where they don't work out as well, especially with friends and family. We assume we're always aligned and we're always going to work it out. You can't assume that. You really have to, everybody's got to get on the same page with the outcome, whether it's strictly an investment, whether we're going to buy it as, hey, this is going to be a family vacation home. And I know that I talk to partners all the time. They're like, oh no, if we use it, we're going to use it together. We always travel together. But life changes too, right?
That doesn't always work out.
Right? And so really just set really clear expectations and make sure that you're aligned on the outcome. Everybody's bringing something to the table, and then partnerships can work out beautifully. If it's not a lot of alignment on expectations, if you're not aligned on the outcomes, then probably the partnership's not the best option for you to consider when buying that asset. There is one thing that can make or break your success with short-term rentals, and that's your ability to provide your guests with an amazing night's rest. We're taking all of the guesswork out of selecting the perfect mattress system. Personally, I have these custom mattresses in every one of my short-term rentals. We love them so much that we even got them in our own personal homes here in Utah. So visit VodySleepSystem.com and use the promo code PODCAST. It's all caps at checkout to get 55% off.
Should I go live and capture the high peak season, or finish my upgrades and then go live? So that's kind of we get that question quite a bit, is, hey, I'm pretty close, but I haven't done my photos. I haven't done some of these things, but it's in pretty good shape. Should I go to capture kind of the peak season, or should I wait and make sure everything's set up perfectly and then go live?
Yeah, I'm a fan of launching when everything's set up perfectly. There's absolute exceptions to that rule, because you have to look and say, okay, how long before I'm actually going to have it put together, right? Am I going to give up the entire season, or am I giving up 3 weeks of the season or 2 weeks of the season, right? And so you really have to look and say, what's the extent before I can actually hit the go live button, and what are my constraints there? I launched that property in Cherry Log. I bought it in June. I didn't launch it until December, but while I was getting it ready to launch, I left it on the market with the old owner, and they just operated it while I was lining everything up, because at the time, a lot of the furniture I was putting in was back ordered. There was a lot of things that I just had to wait on. But it was in the summertime, right? From June until December, when I actually launched it, there was a lot of money to be made there, and I didn't want to just pull it off the market and sit, right? Yeah. But I waited to launch it on my own. So typically in that scenario, I'll leave it with the old management company, the old owner, somebody that I can just leave it on, capture that peak season traffic. And so if I'm going to lose a whole season, I'll probably capture the season traffic and then pull it off in the off season, get it ready to launch and do a relaunch on it. If I'm losing 2 or 3 weeks of the peak season, I'm going to launch it correctly.
Right, exactly.
If you have the choice, you always want to launch the way you want it to go from the, because you get
want
that
those
extra
reviews
love, right?
too.
Yeah, exactly.
You want
you
those
get that momentum in the beginning, and you can't get that launch momentum back after you launch.
Yeah, good. Okay, last question. Okay. Is it okay to go into debt to get my first short-term rental?
Yeah, I mean, we do it all the time. I mean, debt is a really interesting topic, because there's good debt and there's bad debt, and there's responsible debt, there's irresponsible debt. You don't ever want to over leverage any asset. You don't ever want to over leverage yourself and paint yourself into a corner. The most sophisticated investors in the world have and will always use and leverage debt to grow their wealth. right? The beautiful
taking
part
a
about
chance
that.
on yourself too. It's a little bit like that. You know?
Yeah. Is it a little bit risky? Yeah. But you have to be responsible with your debt. And that's where what debt gets a bad name, because there's a lot of irresponsible people out there, right? They 100% finance things. They borrow more money than they can pay back, right? That's irresponsible use of debt. They borrow on assets that don't produce, right? That's an irresponsible use of debt because you didn't understand the numbers in the underwriting, right? And so debt can be a huge leverage point. Just the case in point with real estate, you put 20% down on real estate, it's not over leveraged, it's producing, it's cash flowing. That property goes up 5%. You just had a 25% gain on your month. That's huge, right? And so being able to leverage debt and build it's a time-tested wealth building strategy that a lot of people have used for a long time. But that doesn't mean you just go put debt on anything and everything. You have to understand.
Be selective, be careful.
Absolutely.
If it aligns with your goals and you can pay it back, absolutely.
Yeah, the asset has to be able to produce. You can't put, there's some assets that can handle 80 or 90% leverage. There's other assets that they can't handle 50% leverage, right? And so depending on, you have to understand a lot of different layers of the debt game, but it can be a really, leveraging debt is one of the most time-tested ways to build wealth with somebody else's money, right? Using other people's money to build your wealth. That's what we're doing.
Hey, one thing before we finish up. The old Weber State University this Saturday night is going to honor the old Sean Moore and the 1999 Big Sky Conference champions.
Conference champs.
So,
the old tournament win against North Carolina. The glory days coming back.
So if anybody's around in Ogden, Utah on Saturday night, come up and they're going to have Sean out on half court, probably get you to take a few shots.
I'll use the excuse that I've got boots and a cowboy hat on. I can't shoot anymore.
Yeah, they're going to be like, wow, look at this cat out there.
Exactly.
So, anyways, that's
excited.
pretty cool.
Yeah, excited to see some of the guys coming in. It's
kind of fun to be, kind of remembered and some of that stuff. So
all of us with a few more pounds and some gray hair, right?
That's awesome.
It'll be fun.
Good deal. So good episode.
Okay, awesome guys. Well, let's wrap it up. We always appreciate you joining us. We know how valuable your time is, and we appreciate you spending it with us. At the end of every episode, 2 favors I always ask you. The first, if you like this, leave us a review, thumbs up. If you have more than 30 seconds, actually write a review on the platform you're listening or watching on. If you know somebody else who's in the short-term rental game will get value out of these episodes, share the show, because those things help us grow and get the message out. And the final and most important thing is, go pick that one thing you can do today, start building that life you don't want to take a vacation from. Cheers, my friends. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.